Hello everyone, I am Miss Rose-Lyn Welcome to Educational Planning 202 of Dr. Teresa Desilio. Presenting the last two topics of our group, the Congress and National Planning and Planning for the Reinstitution. Congress and National Planning. Now let's define what is Congress. According to the 1987 Philippine Constitution, Congress is the power to legislate. Congress of the Philippines is called to be bicameral, for it composed of two chambers, the lower house and the upper house. The lower house is composed of the House of Representatives, while the upper house is composed of the Senate. Congress is responsible for making enabling laws to make sure that the spirit of the Constitution is upheld in the country, and at times amend or change the Constitution itself. So what is the essence of Congress in educational planning? Remember that the legal basis of all educational acts or laws can be seen in our Constitution, specifically in Article 14. And it is because of the legislative body why we have lots of educational acts or laws. Now let's proceed into the definition of planning based on some of its proponents. Planning, according to Terry, is a future course of action. It is also the selection and relating of facts and making and using of assumptions regarding the future, and the visualization and formalization of proposed activities believed necessary to achieve desired results. According to McFarland, planning is a concept of executive action that embodies the skills of anticipating, influencing, and controlling the nature and direction of change. Peter Drucker also defined planning as a continuous process of making present managerial decisions systematically and with best possible knowledge their futurity, organizing systematically the efforts needed to carry out these decisions, and measuring the results of these decisions against the expectation through organized systematic feedback. Moreover, in the words of Kunz and O'Donnell, planning is deciding in advance what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and who is to do it. Planning bridges the gap from where we are to here we want to go. Now let's talk about the national planning. In terms of national planning in education, here are the tri-agency or institutions that deals in the promotion of quality and inclusive education. The Department of Education, the Commission on Higher Education, and the TESDA, or the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority. Agenda, or the National Economic and Development Authority. It is the country's premier socio-economic planning body, highly regarded as the authority in macroeconomic forecasting and policy analysis and research. It provides high-level advice to policymakers in Congress and the executive branch. In connection with economic planning is the educational planning. Remember, when we talk about education, we also talk about economic development. Because even today, education is still highly regarded as the key to success to every nation's economic development. Now let's proceed into the NEDA's key responsibilities. These are the following. Number 1, coordination of activities such as the formulation of policies, plans, and programs. Number 2, review, evaluation, and monitoring of infrastructure projects identified under the Comprehensive and Integrated Infrastructure Program. Number 3, undertaking of short-term policy reviews. Now let's move on to the global planning. It is the UNESCO, or the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. It's the organization that deals in global planning in terms of education. It supports education policy development in country, regional and global policy analysis, and national strategic planning processes, all within the framework of the Global Education Agenda. SDG 4, or the Sustainable Development Goal number 4, which is to provide quality education in the year 2030 and the targets of SDG 4. UNESCO also works to keep pace with the growing demand for education policies and strategic planning produced by a rapidly evolving global environment. It also works through policy advice and knowledge building, capacity development, technical assistance, and normative work. It also focuses on promoting equity and inclusion in education system. Another one that deals in global planning in terms of education is the International Institute for Educational Planning, or the IIEP. The IIEP is considered to be an arm of UNESCO, created in 1963 in Paris, France. It develops the capacities of education actors to plan and manage their education systems through its programs of training, technical assistance, policy research, and knowledge sharing. Another institution or organization that deals in global planning is the UNDP, or the United Nations Development Program. Now let's elaborate the roles of UNDP in terms of global planning. The UNDP supports countries in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals through integrated solutions. Today's complex challenges, from stemming the spread of disease to preventing conflict, cannot be tackled neatly in isolation. For UNDP, this means focusing on systems, root causes, and connections between challenges, not just thematic sectors, to build solutions that respond to people's daily realities. UNDP also requires the partnership of governments, private sector, civil society, and citizens alike to make sure we leave a better planet for future generations. These are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the UNDP in the year 2030. SDG number 1 is to eradicate poverty. SDG number 2, zero hunger. SDG number 3, good health and well-being. SDG number 4, quality education. SDG number 5, gender equality. SDG number 6, clean water and sanitation. SDG number 7, affordable and clean energy. Number 8, decent work and economic growth. Number 9, the industry, innovation and infrastructure. Number 10, reduce inequalities. 11, sustainable cities and communities. Number 12, responsible consumption and productivity. Number 13, climate action. 14, life below water. 15, life on land. 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. 17, partnerships for the goals. So these are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals in the year 2030. Now let's focus on SDG number 4, the quality education. These are the 10 targets to achieve SDG number 4. Target 4.1, free primary and secondary education. Target 4.2, equal access to quality pre-primary education. Target 4.3, equal access to affordable technical, vocational, and higher education. Target 4.4, increase the number of people with relevant skills for financial success. Target 4.5, eliminate all discrimination in education. Target 4.6, universal literacy and numeracy. 4.7, education for sustainable development and global citizenship. Target 4.8, build and upgrade inclusive and safe schools. Target 4.B, expand higher education scholarships for developing countries. And last, Target 4.C, increase the supply of qualified teachers in developing countries. According to the UNDP, achieving inclusive and quality education for all reaffirms the belief that education is one of the most powerful and proven vehicles for sustainable development. Let us now see the facts and figures. Enrollment in primary education in developing countries has reached 91%. About half of all out-of-school children of primary school age live in conflict-affected areas. Still, 57 million primary-aged children remain out of school, more than half of them in sub-Saharan Africa. 103 million youth worldwide lack basic literacy skills, and more than 60% of them are women. In developing countries, 1 in 4 girls is not in school. 6 out of 10 children and adolescents are not achieving a minimum level of proficiency in reading and math. COVID-19 and the SDGs, how the roadmap for humanity could be changed by a pandemic. The pandemic presents both an enormous challenge and tremendous opportunities for reaching the 2030 Agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs. The SDGs are considered to be the roadmap for humanity. They encompasses almost every aspect of human and planetary well-being, and if met, will provide a stable and prosperous life for every person and ensure the health of the planet. This year, they have received a grievous blow, one that will be far-reaching for years to come. But the pandemic also shows us the wisdom of what is already inherent in the SDGs. The challenges we face cannot be dealt with in isolation. According to the UNDP Administrator, the world has seen many crises over the past 30 years, including the global financial crisis of 2007 to 2009. Each has hit human development hard, but overall, development gains accrued globally year on year. COVID-19 with its triple hit to health, education, and income may change this trend. The 2030 Agenda in terms of quality education. UNESCO estimates about 1.25 billion students are affected by the lockdowns. UNDP estimates 86% of primary school children in developing countries are not being educated. The pandemic has re-emphasized the digital divide and the right to internet access, particularly for those in rural areas. UNDP estimates that closing the digital divide would reduce by the more than two-thirds the number of children not learning because of school closures. So what we are going to do now? Maybe the answer is to plan for the reinstitution. Now let's begin. Planning for the reinstitution. Let's define institution. Institution is a society or organization, establishment, foundation, society or the like, devoted to the promotion of a particular cause or program, like educational institution, religious institution, government institution, and the like. Institutional planning. Institutional planning is a systematic approach to prepare comprehensive plans for educational development at the institutional level. Why planning for the institution? The reason is to provide a blueprint for an institution for improving and developing its activities within a national or regional framework based on the well-identified needs and the resources of an institution with the full participation of all the concerned parties, like the school head, the teacher, the parents, the student or the child, and of course the community. Institutional plan. It is the aim of educational planning. It enables institutions to accomplish their goals by mobilizing, channelizing, and utilizing resources to the optimum level. These are the areas in institutional planning that needs to be considered. Improvement of co-curricular events, increase in the strengths of students, expansion of school buildings, school library, problem of indiscipline, democratic school environment, introduction of hobby classes, opening a vocational career guidance center, beautification of school campus, healthy and secure school campus, and staff development. These are the steps of institutional planning. Number 1, history of the institution. It is the first thing that you need to do is to have a brief review of the history of the institution and have a glance on its growth for the past years. Reviewing its history helps to establish the clear aims and objectives for institutional planning. Number 2. Survey the needs of institution. It is where both qualitative and quantitative aspects are being studied to know the needs and problems of the institution. During this stage, staff meetings are also conducted, as well as consultation with outside if needed. Step number 3. Assessing the different resources. There are 3 categories of resources are being assessed. First, resources available in the educational institution. Second, resources easily available through government, management, and school education boards and departments. 3. Resources available in the community. Step number 4. Preparing the plan. It is where all the details are being written, prepared, and estimated under the guidance of the expert. Step number 5. The execution of the plan. On this stage, plan is at the action stage. Execution should be done according to the guidelines and the blueprint of the plan. The headmaster and the other persons involved are also responsible. This is where proper monitoring should be done. Motivation, facilities, guidance should be provided from time to time. And for the last step, the evaluation of the plan. On this stage, evaluation at some interval of time should be ensured. There are 2 stages of evaluation. The first stage is when work is in the progress, and the second one when the plan has been completed. And also during this stage, proper feedback and reporting should be prepared. And that would be the end of my presentation. But before I'll end this, I just wanted to share the words of Richard Cushing, that always plan ahead. It wasn't raining when Noah built the ark. And that would be all.